Hi, my name is Jermaine, and this is my story of how God took an angry orphan and he adopted me into his family. Growing up, I had divorced parents. It was 50-50 custody, so I spent half of my time with one family and then another. I was pretty lonely. I don't have any siblings, and it's just me. We grew up pretty poor. On top of that, I think having my mom be somebody who I think was just a pretty difficult person to live with. She was pretty unstable, couldn't hold down a job, and on top of that, I think she just had a lot of mood swings, and so we just get into fights all the time. So basically, I was pretty angry. I was pretty lonely. And so what that caused me to do is it caused me to create sort of this persona where I would try to put up somebody that people would want to be friends with, but deep down inside, I'm still this angry person. I was angry at my family, angry at my parents for getting a divorce, angry at my mom for kind of putting all of her burdens on me. And lastly, I was angry with God because, if God is real, why did he make me go through all this stuff? So fast forward to college, and in college, I came to experience our church. I came to see that it's actually about deep covenantal relationships, and that's what I knew I needed and I wanted it, but I was always skeptical because I wasn't sure if people could accept me and love me as I truly was, not just the mask that I put up, but the person I was deep down inside. And actually, that verse that says, whatever is hidden will eventually become manifest. I think that I experienced that as true because even though all the stuff I kept hidden inside, my deep resentments and my anger, my bitterness towards my mom, and it would come out. It would just take a phone call with my mom. It would even come out in how I would look down upon my friends for having a nice upbringing with a complete family. And it kind of came to a head in 2020 when people lost their jobs, and then I started seeing my mom a lot more, and I started to just get really upset around her and my friends, and they would bring that up. And that kind of caused me to kind of go on this year-long journey to sort of wrestle with, do I want to forgive her? Do I want to move towards her? It wasn't just journaling and reflection, but actually it was opening up to my friends and my mentors and being able to lay that bare, get their input and objective sense of what's going on. I also went to Christian counseling too, and that really helped. And ultimately it kind of came to a head where I stumbled upon this passage in John 9 where the disciples are asking Jesus, who sinned? And Jesus is well, that's the wrong question. It's not about who sinned. It's not about pointing the finger of blame. It's about the works of God being displayed in this person. And I eventually got to experience that too, in that I realized that as I'm sitting around and I realized I'm blaming my mom, blaming my past for all the ways that I am. Whereas God, I think, wants me to move towards the good work that he has given in my life. In addition to, I think, holding on to all the resentment and anger towards my mom, I realized that I had been angry towards God too. Angry towards God for the way my life had turned out. Angry about why things were the way they were. Yeah, so in the end, I think as I stumbled upon that verse, what helped was realizing that God never intended me to kind of go through this alone. He never intended for me to live that kind of life. He wants me to live a life of healing. But what that meant was for me to sort of step out and to move towards people, move towards my mom. And as I kind of came to see her as a person, I saw her as a broken sinner as well. And I saw that in the same way that Jesus loved me as a broken sinner, he loves her too. And something else too I realized is you know what? I don't have to like my mom, but I have to love her. So I started to move towards her in concrete ways, trying to get a meal with her here and there, helping her practically in any ways that I could, and trying to keep healthy boundaries with her. And so I guess as I kind of wrap this to a close, I said I started off as an angry orphan, but then I became an adopted son. And I realized that, even though I encountered God really personally in college, God had actually been pursuing me my whole life. As I look back, I realized that every major junction of my life had always been a Christian there, willing to move towards me and my mom. And I think that wasn't just, people being nice. I think that was God trying to intercept my life at these key points. But me being sort of this oblivious, angry kid, I just didn't realize that. So as I look back, I cannot help but to testify that though life was hard, God has indeed been good to me. And now my life is all about displaying the works of God while it is day. It's about loving people. Now I realize that, my life is all about bringing people from darkness to light. It's about displaying what God has done in me rather than kind of sitting in my anger and my self-pity and blaming people. God wants me to use that energy and use that all that bandwidth to move towards people. So that's my story.